Hi everyone, this is Zuaib. In this clip, I want to talk about centralized service model. If you are an academic institution, could be a college, university, or an organization that has partnered with a suite of academic institutions to provide learning and development support, which can include instructional design, academic technology, copy editing, media services, quality assurance, and so forth. The benefit of having a centralized model is that if you are, for example, a university, then there's a centralized department and it can have different names from my experience. It can be known as Center for Learning and Teaching. It can also be known as Center for Distance Education. I've also seen names like the department's name and I add online to it. So whatever organization it is, and you add the word online department for that as well. The key benefit of having a centralized model is that all the academic partners, so for example, if in a university you have School of Computing, School of Engineering, School of Nursing, they all will have to work with that centralized department, which is outside the academic unit, to provide that support. There are pros and cons for that. One of the biggest benefit is that when you have a centralized department that will provide academic and development support to these academic institutions or schools within the university, then that respective department will know what are the best practices that have been done with, for example, if you're developing courses for College of Nursing, which might have different pedagogical practices if you're developing it for College of Engineering and so forth. So it's housed centrally, and that allows all the key stakeholders to reap the benefit of knowing the best practices that can be shared with different institutions. Similarly, if you are a service provider that has contracted with a university or any academic institution, if you're part of that business model where it's part of a big consortium, then that service is also considered centralized, which means that the administrative department will then provide support to all the respective academic institutions. But there's a disadvantage to this as well. The academic departments at times would want to feel that they own the course design and development or any learning and development process. Because if you're developing courses for corporate training as well within HR, normally they would prefer that each institution have their own resources to develop their courses. So that is one of the things that I've noticed that could be one of the concerns if there's a centralized model. Another thing is the culture of your organization. Is it really beneficial to have a centralized support model for your institutions that you're supporting? And there are different examples to that that we can see, because from a finance perspective, from a I would say the political perspective as well, that how are the deans or senior leaders of each institutions addressing to this concern, and if they feel very comfortable working with a centralized organization or a department to then provide these supports. Because obviously when things are centralized, then it has to be in a queue, and then there are priorities that are made to support these institutions. But all in all, centralized has its pros and cons. You have to decide if centralized service model where you would provide learning and development support to your academic institutions and non-academic as well, like HR for their learning and development needs, is it best to house that centrally or not? I hope you find this useful.